सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ओ राम these vidhi vakyas is a point to understand. It's a vidhi vakyas. Vidhi vakya means the statements of action. Atma vare drashtavyaha. Means you should know it, should know the self. It's a vidhi vakya. It's a jnana vidhi. See? Atma is nityaha, is not vidhi vakya. Atma is eternal, is vastuparavakya. It's a statement of fact. You are eternal is a statement of fact as seen by the Shruti, as understood by the Shruti, as also experienced by the Jiva. But he may not understand, that's a different matter. But you are eternal is a statement of fact made by the Shruti. It's a vision. But when it says, see, look at the difference between these two statements. Atma is eternal. You are eternal is one. Look at the construction, the structure of the sentence. You are eternal. Just a statement of fact. It's like fire is hot. It's a statement of fact. But when it says, you should know it, then it is a statement of vidhi, meaning it is a statement of advice. It's a statement of injunction. It's a statement of prescription. Let us call it a statement of advice. Please know thyself. Atma has to be known. It's a statement of advice. Not only that, the self has to be listened to. It is statement of advice. And mantavyaha should be reflected upon. Nididhyasitavyaha should be deeply reflected upon. See the difference between the two statements? You are eternal, just a statement of fact. Looks like a cold statement. You are eternal. Looks so cold. You are eternal. But really the entire Shastram is in the form of everything has to be in fact given statements of prescriptions, statements of advice, have to stem from the vision of a fact. You see, basically there has to be knowledge of what is a fact and what is a non-fact. So when the Shruti says you are eternal, it is a statement of fact in which there is no advice for action or knowledge. May you do it is not implied in it. May you know it is not implied in it. It only says you are eternal, bas. But when it says you should know it for your freedom, then it is a statement of advice. But this advice doesn't imply any action. Even though it is a statement of advice, it is not really, it doesn't imply any action. So it only implies that you should withdraw from your usual approaches to happiness. You should withdraw from your customary beaten paths to happiness and freedom. And having withdrawn, then try to understand. So, that withdrawing from the usual pursuits, withdrawing from one's search for happiness outside, that withdrawal is the meaning of that particular advice. You should know it. That should, the meaning of that should is in the form of withdrawal from the swabhavika pravrittis. Now this withdrawal from the customary search for happiness can be the meaning of the word should. Why? Because it is Purusha Tantram. It is Purusha Tantram because I have to use my choice and withdraw. It is Purusha Tantra Vyapara. Of course, Viveka is there, having known that this is not the path to happiness. I have to use my choice to switch from the pursuit of happiness outside to recognizing what one is. This withdrawal from the swabhavika pravritti, in that withdrawal culminates that verb of vidhi called should. This verb should doesn't go beyond withdrawal. Why? Because when it comes to recognizing the truth, the should has no meaning because there is no Purusha Tantra. There I have to know it as it is, not know it by my choice. Know it by my choice means not know it as I like. Therefore, once I begin as to how is the self eternal, what is this me, when that becomes the topic, then I have to only figure out really as it is, and my choice has no role to play. Human choice culminates in the withdrawal from the swabhavika pravrittis. Then afterwards there is only buddhi, determining capacity, determining what am I. It is mimansa, figuring out. Figuring out is different from choosing. Figuring out what is different from choosing to do, choosing not to do, choosing to have pravritti, choosing to have nivritti. So, if one has nivritti from all these swabhavika pravrittis, if one withdraws from all the known pursuits of happiness, then the choice is over. Then afterwards choice has no role. Then I have to only figure out how Atma is not the form, then it is Vastu Tantra Jnanam. Therefore, the force of should is over. You should know the force of that verb of should is over in conveying that you should withdraw. And afterwards, should has no role to play. And therefore, it is said that Atmavare Drashtavyaha, this Vidhi Vakya, is more a Vidhi Chaya rather than Vidhi. Because if it is a proper Vidhi, and it should, pertain to some action. It should have no other purpose. But here, this should, it culminates in only withdrawal. It is not connected to knowledge. Like, see, you should go to village. You should go to the village. That should connects you to going to village. That should straight away, literally, gets connected to going to the village. When it inspires you, it prompts you to go to the village. So its culmination is the word should culminates in your going to the village. Once you go to the village, the should is over. Then that statement is over. Are you able to follow? In that manner, supposing, say you should know the self, so this word should culminate where? Only in knowing the self. But it culminates even before. It culminates much before. It loses its power. Meaning my choice loses its power even before I begin the pursuit of knowledge. Here choice means what? Doing things as I like. That's called choice. Doing things as I like. That kind of choice is over the moment really I withdraw from my search for happiness outside and then begin as to how is Atma, me, the truth. How is the subject Brahman? In that, my choice has no role to it. Not only that particular word should culminates, my very choice culminates. And afterwards I am using only the Viveka, Buddhi to figure out what is me, what is Jagat. This. In that way here, a lot of attention has been given here to show that the Atmavare Drashtavyaha, this Vidhi, it is more Vidhi Chaya, it has only a semblance of Vidhi. It doesn't have any literal Vidhi, it is not literal Vidhi. Because if it is a literal Vidhi, it's like you should perform Putra Kameshti if you want to have a son, or if you Swarga Kamo Yajeta, Putra Kamo Yajeta, Varsha Kamo Yajeta, Yajeta means, should. And it culminates only in your performing it. Similarly, you should know Atma. The should culminates much before. And therefore it is Vidhi Chaya, not Vidhi. I've just repeated it because it's all important in Vedanta. बड़े बड़े मीमांसकों का वाद का जड़ है. वाद का जड़ है. That is why I said. Okay. Then we come to see Ayam Atma Brahma Ityadivihi. Yat Yadapi Akartavya Pradhanam Atma Jnanam Hanayam Upadanaya Vam Na bhavati tat tathaiva ityabhivagamyate. So, Purva Pakshi had said something very interesting, that if understanding the self has nothing to do with action, if understanding the truth has nothing to do with physical or mental actions, and action technically means that is something that is determined by your like and dislike, So, understanding the self, if it has nothing to do with like-based action or dislike-based action, in other words, choice-based action, then, well, that kind of knowledge is of no use, he said. That kind of knowledge involves no gaining, involves no losing. Actions really help us gain things, help us lose things. Sometimes we get happiness in gaining things, and sometimes we get happiness in losing things. This gaining things is called the upadanam, and losing things is called the hanam. Are you able to follow? So actions always help us to get new things or to lose some old things. So things of our like we gain, things of our dislike we lose. But in just knowing what we are, there is nothing, neither we gain something new nor we lose anything. We don't gain anything, we don't lose anything. We just come to know what we are. It seems to be a very cold situation. It's almost like a tame draw of cricket. A tame draw is useless. उसमें ना नुकसान है, ना कुछ gain है. So everybody. So your Atma Jnanam involving no gain, no loss doesn't seem to be useful. That is why, keeping all this, in mind, the Purva Pakshi says, Akartavya Pradhanam Atma Jnanam. Akartavya Pradhanam Atma Jnanam means Atma Jnanam involving no action to be done. Akartavya means nothing to be done. Kartavya means to be done. Akartavya means nothing to be done. Akartavya Pradhanam. Atma Jnanam. What is Atma Jnanam? Atma Jnanam primarily is unlike all actions. Akartavya Pradhanam is a terminology. It is a phrase used by the Purva Pakshi. But as per the Siddhanti, Atma Jnanam is not Akartavya Pradhanam. It is in fact solely, not primarily, solely unlike an action. It is solely karma vilakshana. And the Purva Pakshi's phrase is, it is Akartavya Pradhanam, means it is primarily unlike an action. Primarily involving no action. Hey, if Atma Jnanam is more of knowing what you are and less of doing, you understand, Why? Because you can't even imagine that there can be a Vakya in Vedanta talking about something involving no action. Therefore, it is very difficult to prepare. It is very difficult for the Purva Pakshi to prepare himself to accept even a situation in which you only come to know something without involving any action, and therefore he reconciles to a different kind of phrase, and that is akartavya pradhanam. Even if it is akartavya pradhanam atmajnanam, if atmajnanam is even primarily, not solely, primarily, unlike primarily free from action. If atmajnanam, are you able to follow? If atmajnanam is primarily free from action, then it is free from hana and upadana. Therefore, akartavya pradhanam atmajnanam, this is what the Prabhupada said. A, your knowledge free from action, hana upadanaya va na bhavati. It is not useful for gaining or losing. Hanaya means to lose something. To lose something which I don't like. Upadanaya means what? To gain something. That means, if Atmajnanam involves no gaining Atma, Atmajnanam involves losing, doesn't involve any losing. So understanding the self doesn't require, understanding the self doesn't imply gaining something or losing something, or even gaining the self or losing the self. Hanayava na bhavati, upadanayava na bhavati. What is it? Atmajnanam. Atmajnanam hanaya na bhavati. Atmajnanam upadanaya na bhavati. That means Atmajnanam is not useful for gaining something or losing something. And what kind of Atmajnanam? Akartavya pradhanam. Kartavya pradhan nahi hai. Akartavya pradhan hai. It's primarily involving no action. Akartavya pradhanam, atmajnanam, hanaya upadanayava na bhavati iti. Hey Purvapakshi, as regards this statement made by you, as to what you said in this manner, as to what you said in this manner, here is something which I have got to say. The answer to this question is this. Tat tathaiva. Yes, you are right. I accept what you say. Tat tathaiva. Tat tathaiva iti abhivagamyate. We accept what you say. What do you say? That Atmajnanam involves no action is acceptable to us. And Atmajnanam implies no action is acceptable to us. And Atmajnanam implies no gain, no loss is acceptable to us. Not only it is acceptable to us, this alone is acceptable to us. Not only it alone is acceptable to us, this alone is the topic of Vedanta. This is what makes the Vedanta Shastram the Pramana. This is what makes it Pramana. Definitely it involves no gain, no loss of anything. It involves no gain, no loss. Like when I perform a ritual, I gain some Sukha Vishayam. New house. I work for new house. So I get the new house. And I want to get rid of the old house. I get rid of the old house. This is what is called Hana Upadana. This is the known concept of gain and loss. Man has got a sense of gain and loss. Gain and loss is in what terms anyway? Man has a sense of gain and loss. Gain and loss in what terms? Gain of money, loss of money. Gain of a house, loss of a house. Gain of an object, loss of an object. Aur kya hai? What else can he think? Let him think of the word gain and find out the meaning of it. Let him write down gain and then get the sense out of it. Gain means what? Gain of an object. Gain of an object. In fact, he can't go beyond materiality. When he wants to find out the sense of the word gain, he can't think of anything else except in terms of material. That is why when you take him to a garden, I tell you there are also people who say, take him to a garden, look and so beautiful. It helps, it's a gain. Says, what gain? Yahan par to kuch milta nahi. Even simple metal piece, I tell you, is not looked upon as a gain. Gain means always in terms of sukha vishayam, not sukham. You have to be matured enough to look upon sukham as gain. Sukham as gain, you have to be matured enough to think that sukham is gain. But we don't think sukham as gain, but sukham vishayam is gain. Dukkha vishayam is gain. Dukkha vishayam, getting rid of a dukkha vishayam is loss. Therefore, when in knowing the self, neither you gain an object nor you lose an object. If this is your stand, and on that basis Purvapakshi thinks it is useless. Atmajnanam is useless. Why? It is nishprayojanam. If it is nishprayojanam, then it cannot be purushartha. Then it is not something that is something that is worth gaining by a human being. Atmajnanam is not worth gaining by a human being because it doesn't give you any gain, it doesn't give you what you like, it doesn't just, take away what you don't like. Hey, if you think like this, we say, so it be, tat tathaiva, iti abhivgamyate. Why? In fact, in gaining Atmajnanam, there is nothing, it is not that one gains an object or loses an object. In fact, one comes to discover there is nothing to gain and lose. Not that he doesn't gain and lose. He comes to discover in life there is nothing to gain or lose. There is only one truth which need not be gained, cannot be lost. Like a person who wakes up from the dream discovers that there is nothing to gain or lose in terms of the dream objects. While dreaming, I think in terms of gaining dream objects and losing dream objects. But when a person wakes up from the dream, not that really it is useless. Why? Because he doesn't gain anything, he doesn't lose anything. In fact, he discovers that there is nothing to gain or lose. There is nothing to gain or lose. All that is there is only one truth, one advitiya atma. And therefore here the Siddhanta says that tathaiva iti abhivgamyate. Is it clear up to that? Alankaro hi ayam asmakam yat mahatmavagatau satyam sarvakartavyata hanihi kritakrityata chaiti. Oti sundara vakya. That the self-knowledge requires no struggle. That the self-knowledge requires no action to be done. That the self-knowledge implies no gain, no loss. That the self-knowledge is always in the form of the knowledge that there is nothing to gain or lose. Is Bhushanam, Alankara. It is Bhushanam for Vedanta, not Dushanam. It is not a flaw of Vedanta, but it is a Bhushanam. It is the glory of Vedanta. It is the glory of the knowledge of the truth. That knowledge of truth involves no gain, no loss. Because knowing the truth means knowing that there is nothing to gain or lose. Discovering that there is nothing to gain or lose is alankara. Alankaro hi ayam, this fact that it implies no action, that it implies no gain or loss, is a bhushanam asmakam for us. It is a bhushanam, alankara. It is a bhushanam for us. Yat, that Brahmatma avagatau, in understanding oneself as the unlimited being, satyam avagatau, strilinga therefore satyam, avagatau satyam, sati saptami, when there is clarity about one's being as the only thing that is available, sarva kartavyata hanihi, then there is nothing to be done. In fact, the duties don't come to an end, understand? This is all wrong. You discover there is no duty this time. To discover there is nothing to be done. If I have to gain something, I have something to do. If I have to lose something, then I have something to do. If I have nothing to gain or lose, then I have nothing to do. Thus, not that I become free from duties. I discover there is no duty. We don't become free from snake. When I come to know the rope, I don't become free from the snake. I discover there is no snake to become free from. There are two different schools. So once I come to know the rope, then I become free from the snake. He is a very, very mediocre. That is not really Siddhanta Param. It is only when you talk to the children, you make such statements. Not in the context of Sutra Bhashya. Not in the context of Sutra Bhashyam, that when you come to know the rope, then you become free from the snake. How? You discover there is no snake to become free from. My search is to become free from the snake. And in knowledge I discover there is no snake to become free from. Similarly, the life is always lived with the idea that I have so many things to gain and so many things to lose. And therefore I have a lot to do. I have a lot of kartavyam. I have a lot of duties to do. But in the knowledge, not that we become liberated from duty, we discover there is nothing to be liberated from. There is no duty to be liberated from. Why? Because I have nothing to gain or lose. I have nothing to gain or lose, and therefore there is nothing to be done also. Therefore, it is indeed a bhushanam for us, for Vedanta, that knowledge implies no action, knowledge implies no gain and loss, and it implies no kartavyam. That is why it says, akartavya sarva kartavyata hanihi. Sarva kartavyata hanihi means, well, freedom from all kartavyata. Kartavyata means, the sense that I have something to do. That is kartavyata. The sense that I have something to do. That very sense is gone. In knowledge, I discover there is no kartavyam to be done. Sarva kartavyata. That is called kritakrityata. That is called fulfillment. Kritakrityata does not mean doing all one's duties. After doing all your duties, you feel fulfilled. That is not kritakrityata. Why? Because duties never come to an end. I'm telling you. Like desire doesn't end. Only in knowledge one discovers there is nothing to desire for. There is nothing to desire for. Alone is possible, but not fulfilling all desires. There is nothing to desire for. There is only one self. When you wake up from the dream, you don't become free from all desires. In dream I had desires for the dream objects. Now with reference to the dream objects, when you wake up, you don't become free from the desires. You discover there is nothing to desire. Aber cheesy nahi. In that manner, here also, in knowledge, there is not that he feels fulfilled after doing all duties. Therefore, Kritakrityata itself does not mean, fulfillment born of doing all duties. Because neither we do all our duties anyway. Only Ramu does duties. Haji, who does the duties? Ramu does the duties. All your duties are done by Ramu. राम के बिना शांति नहीं है, रामू के बिना सुख नहीं है। राम के बिना शांति नहीं है, रामू के बिना सुख नहीं है जी। हाँ, माइनस रामू सुख नहीं है। Therefore, who does all your duties? Ramu does it. Therefore, we make a big issue out of these great duties. Here, Vedanta says, hey, in Vedanta you discover there is no duty for you. You are ever full. You are ever full. Thus, kartavyata hanihi, kritakrityata cha, these two have to be related. Kartavyata hanihi is kritakrityata. Chakara is only aupacharikam. Kartavyata hanihi is synonymous with fulfillment. Having nothing to gain, having nothing to lose, having nothing to do is fulfillment. Having nothing to gain, having nothing to lose, therefore having nothing to do. And that is because the self is already full. The implication of kritakrityata, the implication of having nothing to gain and therefore having nothing to do, the implication of it is one is already full. That is the tatparyam. The fullness of the self is the tatparyam of kartavyata hanihi and kritakrityata. Not that having done everything you become fulfilled. In the same manner, even desire you have to apply this. It is not that after fulfilling a lot of desires you become fulfilled. I wanted to have a house and I got it. Feel fulfilled. How long you will feel that fulfillment? Until your daughter comes back. Till your daughter comes to visit you on a weekend. And then you say, Papa, I want to have this and that. I want to have that house, this house. And you had it. It is not possible to feel fulfilled by fulfilling a given desire. It's not possible to be fulfilled by fulfilling a given desire or a group of desires. Then one may come up with the logic, when we fulfill all our desires. You can't fulfill all your desires because desires cannot be fulfilled. Not even one desire can be fulfilled. Baaki to chodo. Even one desire you cannot say you can fulfill it. One desire. Because if one desire is fulfillable, then all desires are fulfillable. That means desire by nature cannot be fulfilled. Desire is singular. Desire can't be fulfilled. Therefore, the only way of gaining freedom is to discover a reality in the light of which you discover there is nothing to desire. That is the only way. That is the only way. Similarly, the only redemption from duty is only through the discovery that there is nothing to, I have no duties to perform. In fact, nobody has any desire. Everybody is already full. Okay. Thus, this Purvapakshi's objection that self-knowledge, if it implies no action, and if it implies no gain and lose, then it is useless. And therefore it should not be the topic of Vedanta. And Veda cannot give us something that is useless. And therefore the Vedanta must be interpreted as self-knowledge, implying action, not self-knowledge, implying no action. And self-knowledge implying action means upasana. Upasana rupa atmajnanam. Then it becomes a vidhi. Then technically all the Vastupara Vakyas get connected to vidhi. Atma is Brahma, connected to the Upasana Paravakya. In that manner may you worship. Atma is eternal. Connect this Vakya to a statement of fact should be connected to a statement of worship. So when the Shruti says, Purvapakshi thinks like this, Vedanta says you should worship Brahman. Now how can I worship Brahman unless I have some information about it? And that information the Shruti provides in the form of the statements of fact, like Atma is Nityam, Brahman is Satyam, Brahman is Jnanam, Brahman is Anantam, Brahman is Advitiyam, Brahman is Chetanam, Brahman is Atma. This is all the information given to you by Vedanta. And based with the help of that information, you worship Brahma. And that worship is by your choice. And that worship is something within your hands. You can do it, you need not do it. And therefore it is as per your choice. And therefore it becomes what? An action. And action, the act of worship, is always going to give you what you like. What is it that you like? Sukha Vishayam. And taking away Dukkha Vishayam. And thus, when we get the objects that we like, it is useful. And when we get rid of the objects that we don't like, then it is useful. Thus, Brahma Upasana is useful. Not Brahma Jnanam, implying no action, implying no gain, implying no loss, is of no use. And that's something that is not useful, cannot be given by Vedanta. If it is given, then it should be useful. Why? Because anything that is Nishprayojanam cannot be. Saprayojanam alone should be the topic of Pramanam. Nishprayojanam cannot be the topic. Okay. Tatha cha Shrutihi Atmanam Jed Vijaniyat Ayamasmiti Purushaha Kimichan Kasya Kamaya Sharira Manusanyvaret. My dear Purvapakshi, Atmajnanam implies no action, Atmajnanam implies no gain, no loss, no material gain, no material loss. And yet you can't say it is not useful. Saprayojanata, usefulness, this particular word, usefulness, should be understood properly. Material gain alone is useful. Losing the painful object alone is useful. Gaining a pleasant thing alone is useful. Usefulness lies in gaining a pleasant object. Usefulness lies only in getting rid of the unpleasant object. In this manner, don't define usefulness in terms of only the gain and loss of the objects. Because usefulness is a very sophisticated term. Usefulness. Because the entire jiva is searching for something useful, and that useful means freedom from the struggle is useful. Freedom from fear is useful. Freedom from the fear of death is useful. Freedom from limitation is useful. In fact, freedom from the very reasons behind the struggle is useful. In fact, that is the real usefulness. Interpreted the actual usefulness, the usefulness in terms of freedom from struggle, that usefulness is interpreted, by the jiva in terms of gaining an object is useful, or losing an unpleasant object is useful. We interpret the usefulness in terms of the gain and loss of the material things, but usefulness is never in terms of this. Usefulness is, in fact, freedom from the very struggle. I should have nothing to gain, that is usefulness. I should have nothing to do, that is usefulness. There should be no reason, there should be no possibility of struggle, there should be no possibility of fear, there should be no possibility of fear of losing one's existence, there should be no possibility of struggle. Freedom from the very possibility of the struggle is usefulness, which is an acceptable definition universally, as stated by the Shruti also. And therefore, Atmajnanam may not imply gaining an object or losing an object, but is definitely useful. It is saprayojanam. If it is saprayojanam, then definitely it deserves to be the topic of the pramanam. And it is the topic of the pramanam. Not only it deserves to be the topic of the pramanam, it alone deserves to be the topic of Vedanta pramanam. Nothing else. And that is why he quotes the Shruti here. Tatha cha Shrutihi. That is, Tatha cha Shrutihi. And to the effect of what I said, to this effect, meaning to corroborate what I said, here is the Shruti. Atmanam chet vijaniyat. If one came to know the self, अगर कोई व्यक्ति साथ आत्मा को जान लिया, विजानियात विधिलिंग, अगर कोई जान लिया तो आत्मानम चेत विजानियात, आत्मानम विजानियात चेत, how I am asmi, this is me. This is not me, but this is me. This form is not me, but this is me. The Brahman is me. The unlimited is me. What is conveyed by the Mahavakya is me. That I am asmi, has to create a contrast between adhyastha me and anubhava siddha me. Avidya kalpita me as an individual is not me. Me as conveyed by the Shruti is me. Me as experienced by me in all the three states is me. Me as Swata Siddham is me. Me as Avidya Kalpitam is not me. Me as concluded is not me. Me as Swata Siddham is me. In this manner, yadi, Atmanam Vijaniyat Chet, I am Asmiti Purusha. Purusha means Jiva. If a jiva came to know, if any jiva came to know that he is not jiva but Brahma Vastu, kimichan kasya kamaya, and desiring what? Kasya kamaya, for what object? Shariram, the body, anusanjvaret, shariram anujvaret. Why should he go through the fever? Why should he struggle by means of the body? Why should he struggle? Meaning what? Why should he have the struggle of limitation? Why should he have the struggle of feeling limitation? Why should he have the struggle stemming from the notion that I am the form? Why should he, in fact, literally speaking, why should he have the fever of embodiment? Shariram anusanjvara. Jvara means, fever. Why should he have the fever of embodiment? Why should he have the fever of the notion that I am the body? Because I am the body is only nothing but jvaram. Because it's all struggle. When a man has a jvaram, वो बेड पर लेट के तड़पता है और ये ज्वर में पूरा दुनिया में तड़पता है. Location of तड़प are different. That is a localized तड़प. This is pervasive तड़प. कहीं भी जाते हैं तो तड़प. It is nothing but a struggle. हाँ जी, nothing but a struggle. That's the meaning. Therefore, thus the Shruti substantiates that Atma Vidya is not useless. Atma Vidya implies no gain or loss of an object. That doesn't mean it is useless. It helps you discover that there is nothing to struggle for. There is no reason for struggle. Neither the object can be the reason for my struggle, nor my inner situation can be the reason for struggle. The outer object cannot be the reason for my struggle because it is ananya with the self. It's not something other than the self. Nor the inner situation can be the reason for the struggle because the self is full. It is not incomplete. That is what is experienced to be understood. One may take ages to understand, but it is ever swata siddham, ever anubhava siddham. Understand? See, it doesn't say that your ignorance, makes the self unevident. Shruti is saying, hey, you are not knowing what is ever evident. You are not knowing what is ever evident. How do we interpret ignorance? My ignorance has made the self unevident. Ignorance doesn't make the self unevident. Not knowing the evident is called ignorance. Not knowing the evident is called ignorance. Not ignorance makes the self unevident. Not knowing the ever evident. Not registering the ever evident is otherwise called ignorance. Not ignorance makes the evident unevident. Not that in knowledge it is going to become evident. And therefore, even if it is ages and ages and ages, this was. So the Siddha Atma is Nitya Siddham. Jiva may take 1,000 lives, ultimately he has to only register what has ever been evident as himself. Therefore, in understanding the self there is usefulness, because there is nothing to gain, nothing to lose. All that is, there is only one truth, iti. And therefore it is useful, though it implies no duty, it implies no action, it implies no gaining of an object, nor losing an object. There is a figuring out of every object as ananya with the oneself. Next, Smriti, Bhagavan Bhashyakara, he brings in Smriti also. Etad buddhva buddhiman syat krita krityascha bharata. This is also a very beautiful verse. You know why? Etad buddhva buddhiman syat. Bahut hi badi baat. You become a buddhiman only understanding this. If you are understanding this or you have understood this or you are understanding this, then you are a buddhiman. इसको समझने से you are अकल वाला. ये नहीं समझेंगे बेअकल. Bhagavan Krishna. Etad buddhva, having understood this, one becomes Buddha. Meaning what? It is this knowledge that makes man knowledgeable. Apart from this knowledge, every other piece of knowledge which looks like knowledge is actually avidya. Atma Vidya is Vidya. The rest is all avidya. Apara Vidya is also avidya. All these things have to be brought in here. Etad buddhva buddhiman syat kritakrityascha bharata. And he becomes free from, he becomes fulfilled. Kritakritya. The etymological meaning of the kritakritya means yadyat krityam tat kritam. जो जो मेरे को करना था वो मैं कर चुका हूं. This is called fulfillment. मुझे जो भी करना था मैंने कर लिया. Whatever I need to do, whatever I was supposed to do, I have done. This is called fulfillment. Now this is something cannot be understood like that. And then every householder say, that way even I have got fulfillment because I wanted to get my daughter married away and we got a good nice damad. I feel so fulfilled. We got a nice daughter-in-law. Very chai deti hai. अच्छा भोजन बनाती हैं, अच्छा भोजन बना. This is all, this is how we interpret kritakrityata. This is what is called, okay, relative kritakrityata. But kritakrityata means, what is kritakrityata? There is no krityam. Even though it is said, all that is to be done, I have done. All that is to be done, I have done, is the vitpatti, but that vitpatti literally is not possible. All that is to be done, I have done, is not possible, because doing all that is to be done is not possible. The only way is discovering that I have nothing to do is possible. It's not possible to do everything that is to be done. It's not possible. Even if you take the vitpatti literally, it's not possible. Just because it is grammatically right, if it is impossible, if it is grammatically atma anityaha, grammatically right. Atma is martyaha. Atma is non-eternal. Grammatically right, but factually, actually wrong. Similarly, kritakrityaha means yadyat krityam tat kritam. The only way of gaining that kritakrityata is only discovering there is no krityam. That is called kritakrityata. That is called kritakrityata. Therefore, kritakrityascha bharata iti smritihi. Tasmat na pratipatti vidhi vishayataya brahmanaha samarpanam. Tasmat, therefore, pratipatti vidhi vishayataya, as an object of worship. I am just translating it in the simplest sense. As an object of mere worship, Brahmanaha na samarpanam. Brahman is not presented in Vedanta. Brahman is not conveyed in Vedanta just as something that you should simply worship. Physically worship or mentally worship. Brahman is presented in Vedanta as something to be understood, not as something to be worshipped. Though it is okay to worship it, before one takes up the jnanam for a layman, definitely Bhagavan is an object of worship. You see, man worships God, he is swabhavikam. God should be known. He is shastra pramana vakyam. God is something to be understood. He is shastra pramanakam. It is Shastra Pramanaka Vishaya. That God is something to be understood is unfolded by Shastra. And that man worships God. He doesn't worship God after listening to any scripture. Man worships God. He is what? Swabhavikam. Why? Because Jiva is a helpless individual. He definitely worships God. Hey Bhagavan, bachao, bachao, bachao. This is God. Worship. What else? You are putting it in a nice language. In all your prayer, hey Bhagavan, hamara raksha karo. This is a very nice Sanskrit bhasha. This is a very nice, it's a cultured language. God protect me, pahimam, trahimam, rakshamam. What is a synonym of it? Bachao, bachao, bachao. This is what is God. Worship. What else? Ji. Therefore, worshipping God is not a vidhi. That you should worship God is not a vidhi. If the Shruti says you should worship God, it is only a restatement of Swabhavikam. Man is already worshipping God. He has got some idea of God. There must be a power that can come to my rescue. I raise my prayer to God. It is Swabhavikam. It is Anuvada. He says you should worship God. Don't worry, you should continue to worship God because worship comes under law of karma. That law of karma is Shastra Pramanakam. That there is a law of karma that operates in this life and that would operate in next life. Wherever you go, you have to abide by the law of karma. Therefore, your worship will bring you result. Don't have doubts. Your worship will bring you results in the form of sukha, vishayam, or removal of dukkham and all that. But Vedanta Pramana doesn't come and say that you should worship God. And even when it gives some upasana, it is only for mental preparation. Worship God so that your mind becomes less wild. Mind is wild. Therefore, soften it up, smoothen it up, make it sober. Aram se raho. Fundamentally, Vedanta says there is nothing to gain or lose. Uski taraf bhi thoda dekho. Don't unnecessarily kill yourself. Don't hurt others. Don't cheat others. Don't think really. Don't feel triumphant when you have cheated somebody. Don't feel triumphant when you have really cheated somebody. Vagera, vagera. Aram se raho. Don't be violent. This is all called Chitta Shuddhi. But the topic of Vedanta is always in the form of understanding. God needs to be understood. Brahman needs to be understood. And therefore here, tasmat, look at the sentence now. It's a concluding sentence here. Therefore, tasmat na pratipatti vidhi vishayataya as an object of pratipatti vidhi. Pratipatti vidhi means upasana. Pratipatti means upasana. Vidhi means vidhi. Statement of upasana. Vishaya means an object. Vishayataya means as an object. Brahmanaha na samarpana means there is no presentation of Brahman as an object of upasana. Brahman is not presented by Vedanta as an object of upasana. Clear? Okay, you can put a stop there. Now, topic changes. Is enough. As we can't stop, can't restart something. Our time lagenge. So you'll come back from the vacation. And in the meantime, you look after yourself. Aram se pade rahna ji. Pade rahna. Reflectively pade rahna. He is called really, that's what is called sannyasa. Reflectively pade rahna. Not sluggishly pade rahna. Reflectively pade rahna. That is not. Keep on looking after yourself and then we'll come back and we'll continue. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Please come. हरिओम सर, हैप्पी न्यू ईयर। सब ठीक है? Children are all okay? Yes. The cold, but every year I go manageable.
When are you back?
26, 27, but the classes will resume on 29. You're coming, that's why?
Go for a Calcutta wedding ceremony.
It will be very cold also. Very difficult day. Snowing and all.
In Uttar Pradesh? It's snowing.
Sometimes. At least 5-6 days it snows. The whole winter, 4-5 बार. 4-5 बार तो होगा ही. हरिओम जी, हरिओम. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh Rama. हरिओम जी. हरिओम.
Nay payasam and some powdered sugar.
What is this?
Nay payasam, this is rice payasam.
I don't take it.
No, we want to give to everybody.
How do you give it?
Advertorials.
Okay, you can give it. Haji, from Guruvayurappa, there is payasam. You can take it without messing up yourself. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Payas means doodh. Payasam means product, milk product. Ajay?
Thank you so much.
Good. Please keep coming.
I try.
You try
The
me.
body, has to give away, so it starts crying when it has to give away.
Yeah, it has starts crying. Yes. Why should it give away? It should be there to serve you as long as you want it. You don't have to. थोड़ा बहुत होता है. हम लोग, we are not here 1,000 years. Don't expect to be here around 1,000 years. थोड़ा दिन, few summers, few winters. Then you're gone. Therefore, make the best of sadupayog kar lo. Shastra pado, that is the only sadupayog. There is no other sadupayog. It's not I'm not being fanatical, When I say there is nothing sadupayogam in life except really jiva looking at himself. Because only himself is not man's creation. Everything else, that is also not man's creation, but our dunya is always within, man-made things. Creation as such is God's creation, but his own existence is not. Is neither man's creation nor even God's creation. His own existence is neither man's creation nor God's creation. Because man's creation is non-eternal, God's creation is also non-eternal. I told you, man's creation is a fool's bluff. God's creation is a clever man's bluff. Man's creation is a fool's bluff. God's creation is a clever man's bluff. It takes time to call the bluff. But what is not created either by man or by God, the uncreated is our reason. Therefore, looking at oneself alone is sadupayoga of life. Everything else is theek. Then afterwards, it makes no difference whether you follow this path or that path, whether you do business or take up some job, or whether you live in India or you live in America. इसमें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला है. Not away from Vedanta, not studying Vedanta, whatever, make no difference. And studying Vedanta also, doesn't matter what you do, where you do. Without studying it, क्या फर्क पड़ेगा? Some children came from America. For the last 3-4 generations, all Gujarati girls. Tell me, Gujarati girls. I said, Gayatri. So what is that? वो क्या होता है? Do you know Hindi? No. Hindi, one word they don't know Hindi. They say, Gayatri, what is that? Increase your prayer. Oh, pray. Prayer. No, we don't know. And then when I recited and then made them sing, do you know what? It's all Americanized Gayatri. That Gayatri they sang in an American accent. Sounding so funny. Said, what is this? Even Bhagavan would be wondering, what is this guy? हमने तो कभी ऐसी स्वर तो दिया ही नहीं. And why have you come to India? We want to travel. Where do you want to travel? Want to go to Himalayas, Ganga? No. We want to travel here. Taj Mahal, Agra, Jaipur, Udaipur, Rajasthan we want to travel. Go. Goa. They are so intelligent, really. They are very brilliant, but absolutely no introduction to the culture. Completely gone. Very, very wrong. Has to be. I think they should come over more often. Do you believe in marriage? What is your idea of marriage? Marriage for life according to our culture. I mean, according to human thinking, not our culture or anything. Marriage is for life. No, it's too boring. Not for life, no, nothing. For life is too long. For life is too long. No. Very peculiar, the whole thinking changes. Their whole thinking is different. See? Yes, I Guruvayurappa, please come. Guruvayurappa is great. भगवान कृष्ण जी का है. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. 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 प्लीज. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. प्लीज कम. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Anybody else? अब हो गया? चलो जी आप लोग ले लो। नहीं वो this हो गया। You're also from Kerala. वेरी गुड। भारत देश में शुक्र है स्टिल अभी भी भागवत इत्यादि है जी, नहीं तो इट विल बी टोटली मटेरियल यूजलेस। I mean, one can, at least a Vedanti can understand, minus Vedanta, everything is just absolutely nothing. You just, you enjoy, you live all right and grow, age and die. That is a single point program. Earn, enjoy, age, struggle, keep struggling with the world, and then die out. Forgotten. I think, very uneventful life. The only thing that makes life eventful is this Shravan. Listening to that Vakya, that really you have no way out. That is an event in life. That is an event in truth. That's a very, very crucial ghatana. That is a crucial happening. That's a crucial event. Atmavare prashta shrota. When you start hearing, that is, something is happening in the truth. There is a very, very big event taking place in the truth, when so to speak. Mananam, nididhyasitam, and therefore, looking into Vedanta makes life eventful. Eventful in the sense, really, events that matter. Everything else is very uneventful. Uneventful means kuch nahi. Sedate life. Karma is a sedate existence. काम करो, पैसा कमाओ, फिर शाम को शराब पी लो। आजकल ब्लड प्रेशर की मशीन भी मिलती है, अपने पास रखो। So monitor your health. And after some time, try keep monitoring. And then comes a point in life where you simply give up. जो होगा गॉड ठीक है। This is much better. Wherever Vedanta is taught, you better go and sit down, look into the Bhashyam, look into the Shruti, think about it. And no breakthrough comes, keep on praying to God. Hey Bhagavan, give me light about myself. At least that is all the great. Crying before God also for clarity is a big ghatana. Rather than crying something else. Anyway. And I, in front of others, the director listens to cry. So you somebody in front of somebody you sit and cry, inside it gives